Hello, friends. My name is Matt Murphy. I'm just an old man trying to remember my password. It's 4 minutes after 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99. I am. It's true. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm like, what? I don't know what Mandis or Chris and I don't know what they're doing with the studio computers right now, but now I have to type in my password in these things where I haven't had to type in my password for a while. And sometimes I have a standard password. Can we talk about this for a moment? Hello, friends. How are you? Welcome to Libertarian Lunch on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Matt. I'll be here till 3. Bell's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as humanly possible. Ken Weaver's doing the real work, gathering headlines and delivering said same. Hey, Weaver!
Oh, what's going on, boys? Yes.
Does anything make you feel older? Well, maybe several things. I can probably think of a few things, but...
Well, one time I pulled some fat in my back reaching for a coffee cup.
That's pristine. That. I can't say anything for the rest of the day because I can't top that.
Yeah, I hurt really bad when I sneezed, too.
I pulled a muscle in my arm eating one time, but I don't...
Boy, you don't want to pull a fat, I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, my goodness. That's pretty good. Woo! I don't know. I don't know if maybe that would make me feel older, but I feel pretty old right now. Nothing makes me feel older than trying to remember my password.
Yeah.
And I'm like an old man. I don't trust these, if you just use this password manager, you'll be fine. Well, I don't trust that crap as far as I can throw it. And so I have the standard password, and then you have, sometimes they make you put an exclamation point or a star or something like that. And so you got to add that. And then if you forget that you had to add that, then you forget the password. And then you try it 3 times. It's like, oh, you got to start over.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating.
Yeah, you got to put some symbols in it. You got to add numbers and symbols.
Okay. And capitals, capital letters. Some of them, they want some caps.
Yeah, they want caps.
Sheesh. How about password 123 exclamation point? How about that? Get you some of that.
Do that.
How's it going so far, Weaver?
It's going good, man.
I mean, yeah. Day going well?
Yeah, going well. I made friends with all the truck drivers out there.
Did you know?
Yeah, we get along great on the way in. I tend to run up behind them right about Smyrna every morning.
And then
that's where everything starts slowing down.
Y'all sit around and have a cup of coffee together.
We just look at each other and wave.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
What's going on up there, big fella?
I love to take out my anger on Nashville roadways. And I would never, take it outside of the vehicle.
No.
But inside of the vehicle, know this. If I'm around you, anywhere in your vicinity, I'm probably hating you. I'm probably hating you a lot.
Yeah.
Because I hate every other driver needs to get out of my way. Don't you understand that I'm coming through?
Yeah. Hey, this is me.
Right.
Now out of my way.
That's my one rule of the roadway. You don't have to go anywhere. All you have to do is get out of my way.
Get out of my way. Remember that old commercial?
My way. Get out of it.
Remember that old commercial? And I forget what they were advertising, but the guy's name was Bob. You never see Bob, but Bob's got everything going for him. And there's a scene in this commercial where no driving in this lane except for Bob. And the cop pulls the guy over, and the cop looks in the car and says, "Oh, it's you, Bob. I want to be Bob." That's what you really want in your life. Anyway.
Everything's a Bob. Everything and everybody's a Bob whenever you're telling stories.
By the way, I got asked several times at the debate watch party the other night about Bob. Do you know the story of Bob Weaver?
Bob Weaver?
No, Bob. Do you know? I called you Weaver. Do you know the story of Bob, Ken?
I do not know the story about Bob.
Bob approached me at Timms Ford Lake when I was doing a remote out there at Twin Creeks Marina.
Yeah.
And Bob was very upset at me for talking about the FBI. He said I didn't need to talk about things. And I was on the radio, and he starts screaming at me while I'm on the radio. That I didn't need. He had his hand in my face. He had his finger in my face. He was like, "You don't need to talk about this. You don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, "Well, what?" I said, "Sit down and we can talk about it." "I'm not talking to you."
Kind sir.
Oh, boy. Bob was mad. And so the other night at the debate watch party, somebody came up and said, "Hey, how's Bob?" And I didn't know. I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Bob, your buddy Bob down at Timms Ford Lake." I said, "Oh, I hadn't seen Bob lately." Anyway. So Weaver's in the newsroom. He's gathering headlines. And we're gonna. Oh, man. There's a lot. Hey, by the way, everybody, all of you good people, and I don't begrudge you a moment of prayer over this issue, but all of you good people that was praying for rain, You got it.
Oh, we're getting ready to get it, boy.
It's coming.
It's going to last.
And it's going to be a couple of days. And my entire weekend is shot as a result.
Yeah.
We had all of this stuff gathered together for the big Mount Juliet yard sale at Charlie Daniels Park. They have a citywide yard sale, Ken, where everybody gets we bought 2 parking spaces. You can buy 1, you can buy 2, you can buy as many as you want. Well, we rented 2 parking spaces to put all of our stuff. We got a tent. It was going to be a big deal. Come buy Murphy's crap in Mount Juliet at Charlie Daniels Park, and I think they're going to cancel it because of the rain. Very disappointing.
Well, it could be heavy at times, Brother Murphy.
That's what they tell me.
Could be real heavy rain at
Bands of rain moving through the area over the course of the afternoon and the next several days, according to the Supertalk 99.7 WTN newsroom, and primarily newsman Ken Weaver. So there you go. That's what we can anticipate over the next couple of days. So rain coming down, get your pets inside, get your plants outside, and everything will be all right. We've got lots to get into today. I have some regrets that I want to talk to you about. And it's regarding yesterday's show. Now, I enjoyed breaking down a debate that I did not comprehensively watch until late last night. I was unable, and I admitted as much, that I was at a loss for being able to diagnose it, dissect it, and give you my normal astute analysis over what I believe went down, because we were at a debate watch party, and I love it. I will do it again. Don't get me wrong when I say this, but it is impossible to actually watch the debate at the debate watch party. And once again, I love being with you, and I love doing it, and I love the gathering, and I love the camaraderie, and I love the uniformity, and I love everything about it. Except that, for me, it's like when you're really, really focused on a football game. You're really wanting to focus on every play, and you got 100 people in the room, and everybody's cheering, and it's kind of like that. So it was impossible to watch the debate necessarily and structurally analyze it and break it down point by point, moment by moment. So I was unable to do that. So that's part of what happened yesterday. We had Cameron on. I also had my 2 cavities taken care of, so I was like under the gas, and I was out of it for the first at least half of the show. All of that to say, I have a regret that we did not, time ran away from us on episode 649. Today is episode 650, by the way. Time ran away from us, and we were unable to discuss more fully the anniversary of September 11th, 2001. And I particularly regretted that last evening because I had the opportunity to go to the Charlie Daniels Patriot Awards dinner last evening at City Winery. And I met a few folks who signed up for service in the aftermath of 9/11. I got a chance to talk to Bernie Carrick, who was the New York City Police Commissioner on 9/11. And we talked to a couple of other folks who were in New York City. We met the Vigiano family. If you don't know the story of the Vigiano family, it is incredible. It is gut-wrenching. There was a video that was played last night at the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project Awards banquet in which the patriarch of the Vigiano family, John, talked about with pride his 2 sons, one a New York City police officer and the other, that was Joe, I think. One was Joe and one was John. I might be crossing these up, but one of his boys was a New York City police officer, and one of his boys was a New York City firefighter. John Vigiano's son, Joe, had been shot 5 times in 2 separate instances of violence in New York City, and he went back to serve. He could have retired, but he loved what he did and loved his city and loved his community so much that he chose to continue to protect and to serve. Watching a video of a father talk about his sons, both of whom died on 9/11, one a firefighter and one a police officer, and watching the pain in his face, overlaid by the pride that he had for his sons, is an emotionally gut-wrenching experience. And it is one of thousands of stories, perhaps not as dramatic as losing both of your sons on 9/11 in different capacities, in very different ways. One, like I say, one a police officer and one a firefighter, is incredible. And so I regret, and so based on that, we're going to talk a little bit about September 11th, and more importantly, we're going to talk more about September 12th. I want to discuss September 12th, 2001, and everything that has happened since September 12th to today, September 12th, 2024, and what we have learned and what we have forgotten. And I want to start here. Well, actually, before I do, let me remind you of all of the pleasantries of the show, and we'll get things lumbering under our own weight. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We thank you for being here. Locks for Trump Day 194. For 194 days, I've been growing this hair out, anticipating a new president-elect of the United States of America. I started this before Joe Biden quit. Joe Biden quit on me. I blame the hair, one way or the other. It's Locks for Trump Day 194. Coming up on a big Locks for Trump Day anniversary, 200. That's a big day with a couple of zeros on it. It is also episode 650 of our proceedings today on this Thursday, September 12. You can find us on a variety of platforms, obviously on the radio dial, 99.7 FM. We appreciate you. If you're listening on your streaming app, of course, you can take us wherever you go. And if you don't know about that, just type in Supertalk 99.7 WTN on your streaming app of your choosing. Whichever one you use will be there, and you can take us where we go. We invite you to download our own app at Supertalk 99.7 WTN. And then, of course, Supertalk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch is up and running for you masochists in the listening audience that want to look at why I'm on radio. Here you go. This is why. And episode 650, Bell chooses not to be on radio, not because he's an ugly man. He's a quite fetching fellow, but because of the multiple felony warrants out for him in a variety of states. And so he does not participate on the television side of things except to offer us a title on a daily basis. And today's episode is entitled
Matt Murphy dropping all support for Trump. Now voting for Dewey. Or maybe Louie. Still thinking about it.
How about Huey?
Screw Huey.
Huey's a little screwy. It's funny you mentioned that. We're getting into that a little bit later on in the show after the Libertarian Lunchtime Hour. The number of media outlets that have declared this over based on one debate performance that was above the waterline.
When we're still 2 months out.
When we're still 2 months out is fascinating to me. I guarantee you between now and November 5th, that there will be not one, not two, but multiple things happening that will make this debate a distant memory. And oh, by the way, after analyzing the debate, she did not do anything other than act in a competent fashion. There are no memorable positive statements that she made. Now, she came back at Trump, and she had the support of the debate moderators in order to do it. You know what? Most people, if they had the support of the moderators in terms of the tone of the questions asked and the lack of follow-ups on one side and the demand of a follow-up on the other side, when you have the moderators doing your fact-checking for you in real time and not bringing it the other way and fact-checking you, well, then, of course, you're at an advantage. Now, was she competent? Yeah, she was competent. She's not mentally disabled like her boss. However, she took no responsibility for anything that's happened over the last 3.5 years. I am going to lean on and depend on the intelligence of the American people to see through some of this garbage. Sadly, a lot of Americans aren't intelligent about these things. They vote on their feels. And I heard from a lot of people yesterday, people that don't normally participate in this process on a regular. You happen to be, you happen to be the smartest listening audience on planet Earth. You are more well-informed than anyone else out there. All of your stablemates in your office, in your place of business, in your home, in wherever you might be. Maybe you're going to school, getting some of that book learning. Wherever you are, you're the smartest listening audience on planet Earth. Because you are well-informed and certainly As far as I know, every local host on this radio station, as different as we are, as different as I am from Dan Mandis, from Chris Hand, from Brian Wilson, and vice versa and versa vice, I think we all have a certain level of uniformity in this respect. We don't expect you to think like us just because we have certain opinions on certain things. And that's the beauty of the United States of America, is you get to think for yourself. But we ask that you do so in an informed fashion, which you do. Sadly, there are a lot of Americans that are ill-informed or misinformed or get their information from organizations like ABC, which is decidedly tilted. They present such a different worldview than is reality. And that's the frightening thing, and that's what scares the hell out of me. And so I go through these periods, and I just have to be honest with you guys, I go through these periods of depression where I get concerned that there are so many I almost said a nasty word. There are so many morons in America, or misinformed people, or ill-informed people, or ignorant people, not stupid people, ignorant people, that are going to trot on out to the polls on voting day and cast a ballot for Kamala Harris based on how the media has tilted the game against our man. I worry about that. Yesterday, I had a conversation with a very intelligent person who does not pay that much, and I won't name them, who does not pay that much attention to politics, who was describing to me their reaction to watching the debate. And they told me that Kamala Harris destroyed Donald Trump, that she wiped the floor with Donald Trump. Could not believe that Trump lied about Haitians eating cats. This is what concerns me, that there are a lot of smart people getting their information from poor sources and not thinking for themselves. But then I remind myself that Americans in their hearts and in their souls are smart people. They're good people. And flyover country is going to ultimately decide this. And the feeling of what type of country we want to live in will decide this. And it's one of the reasons that I think we need to go back. We need to get away from the cat crap. No offense. I understand that the memes are fun. I understand all of that's all well and good. We need to get away. You know what? As evidence presents itself, if there are Haitians or any other nationality for that matter eating cats, we're going to present that evidence to you. But that's beside the point. The point is that there are millions of people flooding the zone, and they will, based on their numbers alone, fundamentally transform the United States of America. What type of country do you want to live in? Do you want to live in a country that looks like Great Britain right now? Do you want to live in a country that looks like Germany right now? Do you want to live in a country that does not have a cultural identity any longer because that cultural identity has been taken over by people that don't have any interest in absorbing themselves into the fabric of this nation that believes in freedom and liberty and that has led the world in that regard for our entire existence? Which circles me right back to 9/11 and 9/12. Which we will discuss momentarily on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, I talk a lot about residential customers when I talk about Nashville Safe House, and Mark and his team who are able to provide you an incredible safe from Nashville Safe House, one like Browning or Fort Knox, Champion, Superior, Rhino. They're all right there at Nashville Safe House and ready for you, ready to go. One of their professional delivery crews will deliver your safe. Don't let a crackhead or somebody from a different country come into your house and deliver your safe. These are third-party individuals where what happens with these other guys, and I'm not naming any names here, is that they don't do this for a living. They sell a lot of other things, and maybe they've got 3 or 4 safes in the corner. And when you buy one, they have to find people that aren't employed by them to deliver it to you. And why would you let someone who hasn't been vetted like that into your home and around your most precious valuables and around your family? Let's not do that. Let's let a professional from Nashville Safe House deliver your safe. But I talk about residential customers a lot. I don't talk about business owners. If you're a business owner in the area and you need a safe, Nashville Safe House has incredible commercial safes for you. They offer business safes of all sizes and security levels. Nashville Safe House has supplied high security safes to the area's top jewelry stores, as a matter of fact, and other businesses that need to keep their valuables safe and sound. So whether you're a business owner or a resident of the city or the community, let's get a safe from Nashville Safe House. Go to NashvilleSafeHouse.com or 4th Avenue South across from City Cemetery. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Nashville Safe House. Hey, did you know that Tim Tebow's coming to town? Men of Valor bringing Tim Tebow to town October 1st. Should be a lot of fun. That's happening in just over 2 weeks, and you can find out more by going to movministry.com. That's movministry.com. Let's talk a moment about Men of Valor and everything that they're doing for our community and for our state. Over 90%, men, when men go to jail, and we are a law and order show, and we're a law and order society, right? We believe that you do the crime and that you have to do the time. But for most people doing the time, most men doing the time, they're getting out. 90% of men in prison right now are getting out. And about 50% of those men return, sadly, in about 3 years. Recidivism is incredibly high in this state and in this country. Men of Valor turn lives around. They turn souls around. They sit down with these men in their settings in the prison system, and they minister to them. They need your help to continue to do this, either through your generous donations, and we thank you for that, but they need more. They need job partners. They need Bible study teachers, mentors that are able to discipline men and, disciple men, I should say, in their everyday lives. Is that you? Are you looking to volunteer? Go to movministry.com. That's movministry.com to find out more and to find out how you can see Tim Tebow in town through Men of Valor. Go to movministry.com.
Francine's impact on Tennessee. Right now, it is dropping rain on parts of Middle Tennessee, but it could get worse. Something went wrong in a Nashville high school science class today. We have that for you coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Ken Weaver. There's Ken Weaver. He's reason enough to listen to this radio show for the next 2.5 hours. I'm here, too. Bell K is sometimes here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So
Hey, I earned those 6 weeks of vacation a year, mister.
yeah, you're out again. Now, yeah, why is it I take 1 or 2 Fridays off on occasion and I get holy hell for it? You
As well you should.
You take weeks at a time off and nobody says a word.
Can I tell you why? Do you want to know why? Do you want the answer?
I disagree. Whatever you're about to say, I think I'm going to disagree with.
Your name's on the door.
I don't disagree with that.
So that's
So you just get a pass at it?
absolutely 100% pass because I don't see my name on the marquee.
See, that's your problem, Bell. You've been negotiating time off too long. You need to start negotiating salary when you sit down with these
You
people.
are not wrong.
I want a shirt with my name on it.
I can do that for you, Ken. I did it. Hey, we need to talk to New Suit. By the way, Ken, I don't know if you know this or not, but that's what I call Paul Mason. Mandis is old suit and Paul is new suit. So we need to talk to New Suit down there in the suit office and get us some shirts with our logo on one side and our names on the other side, like that oil change shirt that I got. You know, that working man shirt.
Yeah, but I want mine to be real tight.
Well, any shirt that you put on me is going to be real tight. So I don't know about you, but that's the way it goes. And by the way, if it's not tight now, just give me a minute.
Yes, sir.
Because as my grandpa,
Couple meals.
yeah, as my grandpa used to say, your problem is every time your elbow bends, your mouth flies open. Think on
I
it.
wish I could have met your
Me
great.
too.
so good.
That's going to be one of my life's
was-
great disappointments.
He was that man. When I was a kid, I was petrified of my grandfather because he had a temper, and I saw it. I saw his temper with my older brother and my older sister, and I wanted no part of it. I cannot express to you how much all of that temperament dissolved over the later years of his life, and he was such a joyous human being to be around. He had a simple way of looking at life, and it was pretty easy with my grandpa. Don't steal from people and don't lie to people, and keep your word, and you're fine. And that's it.
Yeah.
Be a person of your word. Be a person that you would want to be around, and that's it.
Don't hurt people. Don't take their stuff.
That's right.
Bingo.
That's all. My grandpa taught me my sister was being my sister one day, and she leaves the house and goes, you know what her problem is? She'd rather climb a tree and tell a lie than stand on the ground and tell the truth. Think on that for a minute. While Ken Weaver does the news, I'm late. It's 32 minutes after the hour on Super Talk.
Well, this is something you don't need during the lunch hour. We've got a crash, and it is blocking the left 2 lanes of 440 westbound right before I-65. Francine's dumping rain on Middle Tennessee. It will through the weekend, but with the risk of flash flooding. High winds even spin up tornadoes. Full forecast in 5 minutes. A gas leak this morning at James Lawson High School caused a student to be taken to the hospital for evaluation. Metro Schools tells Channel 4 gas was released from a valve in a science classroom. Fire crews checked out students in the class. The one student taken to the hospital out of caution, but no other student seriously hurt. Normal operations have resumed at James Lawson High School. Also in Middle Tennessee, authorities are working to determine how a man drowned at Elm Hill Marina last night. Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac.
Multiple agencies, including Metro Police, the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, and Nashville Fire responded to the call. We're told the man was out on a pontoon boat with a group of friends late last night, and he was not wearing a life jacket at the time. According to his friends, the man mentioned needing to use the restroom and then jumped off the back of the boat into the water. Tragically, he never resurfaced. Friends immediately called for help, and after about an hour of searching, crews were able to locate that man's body.
Now, the man's friends are devastated, saying he was a good swimmer. They don't know what went wrong, and that's what police want to know. Camden County High School closed today due to a threat early this morning, so officials decided to close it out of caution today. The investigation's underway. Meanwhile, an 8th grade student's now charged with making threats toward HG Middle School. And in Wilson County, an 8th grader under arrest for making threats on Snapchat. More than 350 miles above Earth and cruising at 16,000 miles per hour, 2 American astronauts successfully completed spacewalks today, according to SpaceX. aboard one of their ships. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Defend Systems is a life safety and security consultation firm based right here in Middle Tennessee. You hear me talking with Brink Fiddler and his team quite a bit. Tracy, Gloria, Adam, and the rest of the crew are here to serve you. And what do? They provide life-saving techniques and tactics. They help train you in the unlikely event that you will experience workplace violence or even a workplace shooting. Active shooter response training, workplace violence prevention, site surveys and threat assessment, security consultation, emergency and intruder action plans, all available for you in your facility. So if you're a decision maker at a church, at a school, at a place of business, it is time to get trained. Hope is not a plan. These things they likely will not, but they can happen to you. We want to make sure that you and your staff are trained up in the event that something would happen at your place of business, your school, your church, or any place that people gather. Call them today at 615-236-6484. 236-6484 for our friends at Defend Systems, or go online at defendsystems.com. We'll get to the phones during the Libertarian Lunchtime Hour at some point this hour and this segment. We appreciate you holding 38 minutes after the hour. Thank you so much for your time and consideration today. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk. Find us online and find us on Super Talk TV, at YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. So I promised that we would discuss, and I regret not spending a little more time on the anniversary of September 11th yesterday. Sadly, the day got away from me. I could make excuses about being gassed or drugged up because of my cavity filling from earlier in the day. But the bottom line is this. We had so much to say about the debate, so much to say about the aftermath of the debate, that time got away from us. Sometimes we simply don't have enough time, even with 3 hours in the broadcast day. I had a chance to go to the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project Patriot Awards last night. I was honored to be there amongst veterans and patriots. I had a chance to meet Mark Geist, who was one of the heroes of Benghazi, saved a lot of lives over there. Some died and many did not because of the actions of Mark Geist. I mentioned that. Had a chance to talk to Bernie Carrick, who was the New York City Police Commissioner under Mayor Rudy Giuliani at the time that the attacks occurred, and was just such a incredible and important figure in the aftermath of that disastrous day. In the spirit of honoring our veterans, awarding our veterans, and I mentioned the Vigiano family, when we got home last night, I turned on the television and I watched a little bit of some of the documentaries that air annually on September 11th. This one in particular was, I think, a Smithsonian or National Geographic Smithsonian Channel, a series of documentaries telling individual stories about what happened on that day. And I was struck by, the impact of the moment of the day and how that has changed our entire lives over the last 23 years. I was telling Belle the story before we came on air. There was a firefighter, and I did not catch his name. He was a captain in the New York City Fire Department. And, when we say that these are individual reflections and individual stories, that's what we mean. They were talking to cooks that were in restaurants at the World Trade Center. They were talking to managers that were office managers in the Twin Towers, police officers, firefighters, and getting different perspectives about the immediate aftermath of the day and how the day unfolded for them individually. These are oral histories of what happened on 9/11. One of the reasons that I get so ticked off regarding the many, many conspiracy theories that surround 9/11, and I understand that we perhaps don't have all the answers, and I sure as heck know that sadly our government and our government officials have taken advantage of 9/11 to take liberties away from us. I'm talking directly about the Patriot Act. But one of the reasons I get so frustrated with some of these conspiracy theories is because I reflect on these individual stories and the lives changed and obviously the lives lost, but the hundreds of thousands, millions of lives impacted by what happened 23 years ago yesterday. 23 years ago today was quite something as well, because we woke up to a smoldering pile of rubble. Today, there were desperate efforts to find anyone alive in that rubble. Read a story last night. You guys know me, and I'm a dog lover. I absolutely love animals. I love dogs more than I love human beings. Why? Because they deserve it. And I read a story about the service animals that went to the site, and for weeks they looked for human beings alive, and then for months they looked for the remains, the earthly remains. And how those dogs were impacted and affected. And all of them are dead now, obviously, 23 years later. But there was one story, this fire captain, he said that, we all got to the South Tower, I think it was the South Tower, and we had all gathered and we were getting our gear on and we were getting ready to go up to try to save people in the upper floors after the plane had struck the tower. And there were 9 of us And one of the guys, and he named the guy, said, one of our guys said, guys, this is bad. Some of us might not make it. And we all stopped and we all looked at each other. And all of us brought our hands in. And all of us shook hands with one another. We took a moment to shake hands with one another. And we thanked each other for friendship and for service. And he's looking at the camera. And he said, I'm the only one that survived that day. And it gives me chills just relating the story to you. And so it is important for him and for all of the people that died and for the impact of the day and for the future of our freedom in the United States of America that we remember and we continue to discuss. It was always, I'm going to say this, and I don't say it to be Mr. Negative, but it is true. It was always a false promise that we would never forget. Because it is human nature that as horrific events in our nation, in our world, in our individual lives, as they fade away in our memories, as the wounds heal over, or at least scab over to a certain degree, it is natural that we try to shake away the negative and remember the positives. And it is a natural thing that we slowly, as people get older, as people pass away, that we do forget. I mean, we've forgotten the horrors of Pearl Harbor, for goodness sake. None of us were alive. I mean, there are precious few people that were around when Pearl Harbor happened. There are precious few people that have specific and individual memories about Pearl Harbor, and it was obviously a different time there anyway. It was always going to be a battle to honor the concept of never forget. And I've watched in my radio career over 23 years, and I've had the honor and the privilege of being able to talk not to you, but people like you, whether it's in Nashville, Tennessee, and the surrounding communities, or Birmingham, Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama before then. It has been an honor of a lifetime to be able to talk with you on these anniversaries. But I have watched, and I think about it every year, the first anniversary of 9/11, obviously it's one of the few things that we talked about. I was on the radio in Montgomery, Alabama, and it's all we talked about, obviously, for a month or two or three. On the anniversary, it's all we talked about for that week. On the second anniversary, it's all we talked about for that week. On the third anniversary, we talked about it for several days. On the fifth anniversary, we talked about it on the day of. And eventually, we came to yesterday. I thought about this last night, and it bothered me because I feel like I had failed you because we didn't talk about it much at all. I think it's important that we do. I don't know what else to say about it, and that's, I think, part of the reason that we don't speak on it anymore is that there's nothing left to say. But that is no excuse. It's no excuse. To forget the horror of the day and the enemy that we face, and to reflect on where we've come, what we've done, what we've accomplished, and what we've not. I'm not interested in an endless war in Afghanistan that will come to no good end. And I have long argued that that should have been closed down years before it did happen. Now, obviously, the way that it got closed down, the way that we withdrew from that area was disastrous. Whether Joe Biden and Kamala Harris want to take responsibility for it or not, it was disastrous. But more to the point, we have a dynamic in the United States of America where we are leading up to what many consider to be the possibility of another 9/11 because we have forgotten. Haven't we? Haven't we? Forget Everything the lying Democrats tell you about what's happening at the southern border, do you not understand and believe? Do you not get it? I think you do. That with all of the good people that want to come over to do construction work or to pick lettuce or whatever, there are a lot of bad people that are coming over taking advantage of the border that isn't. And if you don't believe these people are parts of gangs, I've got a story out of the Wall Street Journal today about this major Venezuelan gang that's taking up roots in many major cities across the United States of America. It was founded in a Venezuelan prison. It's called Tren de Aragua. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not. It's called MS-13 on steroids, and they're all over the United States of America now. They're all about drugs and thievery. You don't think the terrorists that want to do harm to the United States of America have taken up roots in this country too? One more thought on September 12th. America was not defined on September 11th. America could truly never be defined on even the most tragic of days. I believe our defining moments happened on September 12th and September 13th and September 14th and September 15th, 2001. We saw so many acts of bravery and heroism. We saw so many acts of kindness. I don't think our country is prepared to be unified in that way anymore. I don't know why. I wish I did. I understand political differences, and I understand that there are some entities out there that want to destroy the very fabric of the United States of America, and I will fight against those with every fiber of my being. But I don't begrudge people a difference of thought. Many do. Many do. I'm surprised, frankly, in the 23 years since that we've not seen another major attack. We've seen a few attacks that I would describe as terrorism on American soil since September 11th, 2001, but we've not seen anything that is anywhere remotely close to something as tragic and as disastrous and as evil as that day. I'm frankly surprised that it hasn't happened yet. And I'm sad to tell you that it's coming. It's coming. Your call's coming up. It's 12:51 on Super Talk. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for the Glock Store. You know, the Glock Store is located over just off Elm Hill Pike. They call it Air Lane Drive. It's right off Briley Parkway, minutes away from the airport, and really worth the drive from anywhere within the sound of my voice. That's how good the Glock Store is. There are a lot of gun stores, and none of them are like the Glock Store because they have it all. They have a beautiful retail space with clothing items and accessories and various things, and, of course, all the Glocks that you can possibly imagine. Then they've got the Shoot 270 rooms, Neverlane's rooms. They've got their manufacturing division. They've got their shipping department that you probably never see, but they ship all over the United States of America, and they have their VIP room, and that's what I want to talk to you about. The VIP room is where people go to party at the Glock Store. Did you know that you can rent portions of the Glock Store out for your group, your family gathering, your workplace gathering? And yes, you can have an instructor. And yes, you can have a shooting room. And yes, you can go off in ones or twos or threes and go to the shooting room and have a good time in there and then get back to the party and then go find other people and get them out of the VIP room and take them to the shooting room. You know what I'm saying. It is the place to party in Nashville. The Glock Store, perfect place for all sorts of celebrations, birthdays, retirements, corporate team building. So why not make the call and schedule your next party at the Glock Store? 615-682-6565. 682-6565 for the one and only Glock Store.
Got a crash in Berry Hill. It is blocking the left lane, 440 westbound, right before I-65. And wait till you hear what Francine is doing in Middle Tennessee right now. That's coming up at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
In mere moments, Ken Weaver will get us to the headlines, and we'll do that just after this. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, Bell, it was noted that you threw out the Friday Eve sounder, and Mike writes in and says, Bell, you need to send that. Every time you hear Friday Eve, a puppy dies. We've established that, and someone is telling you need to send that puppy you just killed to Springfield, Ohio. There are starving immigrants there.
Done.
We'll get your calls momentarily. Hour number 2 coming up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
One o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And Francine's dumping rain on parts of Middle Tennessee. Channel 4's Dan Thomas tracking it for us.
We have waves of rain, some gusty downpours sliding on through as more moisture comes off the Gulf of Mexico and feeds around the east side of dissipating Francine. Today, tonight, on into tomorrow. Even this weekend, I think we'll have more areas of rain. And we also have to watch for the potential for isolated tornadoes. I think it's a little higher tomorrow than today as we get a little more sunshine, a few more sunny breaks during the day tomorrow as all this again pushes off toward the north.
Full forecast coming up in 4 minutes. Metro Police say they're looking for a hit and run driver who hurt a pedestrian from nearly 2 weeks ago. This vehicle they're looking for, described as a gray sedan with what will be damage to the driver's side mirror. You see anything like that, call police. They say a woman was run over while walking near her home on Sabre Drive at 10 o'clock in the morning on September 1st. Well, this new Titans stadium under construction is coming in over budget by about $1 million, according to Channel 4. The old estimate was $2.1 billion. Well, the Nashville Sports Authority learned the new estimate is now $2.2 billion. The Titans are going to have to come up with the overage. The cost to the Sports Authority stays the same, $760 million, and the state's portion, $500 million. New plans call for updates for South Plaza for events, and 2nd Street will be pedestrian and festival friendly with security updates. The head of the Department of Justice just held his annual address to the workforce, said that federal prosecutors must hold fast to what he says are DOJ norms. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
Speaking in the Great Hall of the Justice Department, Attorney General Merrick Garland lamented the threats that he says have been leveled against department officials during the Biden administration.
Conspiracy theories, dangerous falsehoods, efforts to bully and intimidate career public servants.
Garland stressed the importance of the department sticking to its norms to not allow law enforcement to be seen as an apparatus of politics.
Police in Broomfield, Colorado say they neutralized an active shooter situation inside an apartment complex this morning. One suspect had reportedly barricaded himself. Police tried to get into the apartment, but he started firing on them. Neighboring buildings in the parking lot. The area put on lockdown. SWAT went in and were eventually to make entry and take the suspect into custody. Broomfield PIO Rachel Hazlitt says another person, a female victim, was also found inside the apartment.
I can confirm he and one female victim have been taken to a local hospital. I do not know the extent of their injuries at this time.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief wants to say hello, welcome, and are you in pain? I mean, that's a big question, and it probably has the answer in the affirmative for many of you. Well, if you're currently in pain, back pain, neck pain, knee pain, hip pain, elbow pain, they can be treated with no surgery and no downtime at the Dr. Gill Center. And they've been doing it for a long time now. For over 30 years, they've been assisting people just like you achieving a pain-free life without having to pop pills on the regular, without having to take shots to block the pain, and without having to consider surgery. Surgery should be a last option. Let's check in with the Dr. Gill Center. Dr. Wendy, Dr. Dominic, Dr. V, and the rest of the team. It's a team approach at the Dr. Gill Center. They want to see you. Call them at 615-882-4838, 882-4838 for the Dr. Gill Center in Franklin, and tell them Matt Murphy sent you. Well, there's a shocker. Did you guys listen to Ken Weaver's newscast? I know I did. Is it a shocker to anyone that they're already over budget? I can't even get it out without laughing about it. I mean, they're already over budget at the stadium. Are you kidding me? Who could have seen that one coming? Oh, everybody? Oh, okay. Very good. It's the Matt Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver, as we mentioned in the newsroom, Bell K behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as possible. He's also screening your calls. And me, your humble host, Matt Murphy. Until 3, we hand off to Brian Wilson in the drive at that time. Yes, many of you have, maybe I've got some newbies in the audience. I absolutely hate the phrase Friday Eve. I've tried to eliminate it from my life. Sadly, many of you that have discovered that I hate the phrase Friday Eve love to bring it up, to include a guy that's supposed to have my back. He's supposed to be my wingman. He's not. He abandons me on the regular. He's like Maverick in the original Top Gun. He just left me. Yes, I'm talking about you.
Oh, I was going to say, it sounds like me.
With the whole Friday Eve thing. I'm describing for the newbies in the listening audience what's going on Friday Eve.
I have to go with the listeners sometimes, and that they mean having to, step away from.
I hate it because I don't mind Christmas Eve. That happens once per year. I don't mind All Hallows Eve, also once a year. But Thursday happens every week. And I don't understand why people get so excited about Friday, because Friday is a work day for most people too. Why don't we call Friday Saturday Eve? It would make more sense. One way or the
Friday
other,
Eve.
I have lost this battle repeatedly over the years. Yeah. And so I just all you need to know is every time you say Friday Eve, a puppy dies. Okay? How about that?
And if you will send the carcass to me, I'll have it shipped up to Ohio.
That's Bell K, everybody. If you can learn to spell it, you can figure out how to communicate with him. Anyway, so it is also September 12, 2024, and we're reflecting on the day that was today with regard to the aftermath of September 11th, and also talking about the aftermath of the presidential debate from a couple of days ago. We'll continue that discussion as well. As promised, you on the telephone, 615-737-9986. Tanya has held for some time. Hey, Tanya, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
I have 2 points to make. One regarding Taylor Swift. I've lost significant respect for her for several poor decisions, including her choice of Travis Kelce. Yuck. That's all I can say. With her decision to support Kamala Harris, she indeed is part of the problem. So I think to be part of the solution would be to take all of her extra money, house, feed, clothe, and provide any sex change operations that we, the taxpayers, would be expected to pay. And then secondly, I am a childless cat lady, and I'm sick and tired of the increasing costs of my cat food and the fear that my cat is going to be eaten. I'm voting for Trump.
Good for you, Tanya. I love it. Well, I get it. I don't understand the celebrity worship of Taylor Swift, and I've never gotten it, so I'm not begrudging her fame or success. A lot of people look up to her. I just have a difficult time believing or understanding, not even believing it, understanding how someone would decide to vote for a political candidate based on what a celebrity tells them to do.
Yes, indeed. That's very shallow, of course.
It makes no sense. How many cats do you have, Tanya?
Well, unfortunately, I'm putting two. One has already gone down.
Aw.
I take in feral cats, and at one time I was truly the quintessential cat lady. I had 6. Now I'm down to 2, and she has a tumor on her spleen, and so we're going to have to put her down. But I love my cats, and I love Trump. So what can I say? I'm a proud, childless cat lady.
Oh, well, God bless you. Thank you for listening, and thank you for calling in.
Thank you for your show.
Yes,
God bless you.
take care. God bless you as well. How many? We've never asked this question on the air, and maybe it's more of a Friday question. I'm going to ask Belle Kay and Ken Weaver to weigh in on this. How many cats do you have to be a cat lady?
1.
I'm with Ken. 1.
Well, how many do you have to be
a crazy cat lady?
Considered a crazy cat lady?
I'd say 4 minimum.
So
maybe 5.
So more than 4?
More than 4.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I would agree.
What do you think, Weaver?
What do you think?
Kind of depends. Now, if you live out in the country,
it's true.
You might want several cats to take care of the critters around.
Mice and whatnot. Yeah, that's true. So, I do think it depends. But if you live in the city and you have more than, maybe even more than 3, but certainly more than 4, we're going to call you a crazy cat lady. God bless you. We love you. We need you. We want you. Vote Trump, but it is what it is. James is in Lebanon. Hey, James.
Hello. Hey, I wanted to come on here because I am a self-proclaimed Christian. But I've sat and I've seen Christians proclaim to be that and will vote for abortion and all that. Well, the other day I heard a guy on the radio and he put it a perfect way for anybody. You don't have to go to church. I want to just ask you this one question. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to forget Republican, Independent, Democrat. Forget it. I want you to forget Washington, D.C., forget the doctors, the lawyers, forget anybody that's owned a business, forget truck drivers, forget construction workers, forget it all. And all I want you to do is just think about this. The rapist, the gang member, the child molester, the dope dealer. Think about all this now. All of those, carry them to the polls. Who they going to vote for?
The people that you just mentioned?
Yeah.
They are going to vote for the individual that keeps them in business.
They're going to vote Democratic. I know it, you know it, and everybody that sits in a church pew on Sunday knows it. And if you're that proud to vote for someone that jumps on the back of a Democrat like that, the Democratic Party hundreds of years ago are different from what they are now.
Oh, sure.
And
not even necessarily, James, not even necessarily hundreds of years ago, but I agree with you.
They don't want to admit it. I have friends that I dearly treasure. But if all you have to do is talk to them, and the first thing, my grandfather, he voted for him. My daddy voted. Listen, my grandfather was a Baptist preacher. Loved him to death. But my grandfather would never vote for these idiots. Never. He'd have stayed home.
I wonder sometimes, and thank you so much for the call, James. I appreciate the sentiment, and I think you're dead on. I've long said that today's Republicans are yesterday's Democrats. Today's Democrats are yesterday's socialists. There aren't any conservatives anymore, sadly. My grandfather was a Democrat all of his voting life. He really wasn't political at all in the last, really 20 years of his life. My grandfather and grandmother, I don't know that they voted regularly in my later years. I want to say they voted for, I think they, no, I know that they voted for Jimmy Carter in 1980. Because they were from Georgia and, and they were old school Democrats. My grandfather came from the Great Depression. My grandfather came from an era where rich people were Republicans. My grandfather said to me when I was a kid, and as he's the finest man to ever walk the face of the earth, in my opinion. But he said to me, no, Republicans are rich folks. Because he came from that time and place in the world. He grew up the son of a dirt poor Cherokee Indian farmer in South Carolina. He barely missed World War II by a year. My grandfather was born in 1929. And so he was 16 in 1945 and was he tried to convince his mother, my great-grandmother, to let him sign up for the war anyway, and she wouldn't do it. So when he was growing up, you were a Democrat. In the South, you were a Democrat. You were a Roosevelt Democrat. Well, the world has changed so much, not just since then, but in the last 30 years. There was a time when Kmart shoppers were Democrats. Kmart shoppers, Walmart shoppers, they're Republicans now, and rightly so, because Republicans have slowly but surely represented the interest of the little guy far more so than the Democrats are doing right now.
When you were getting into talk radio or even before, when your kind of political worldview was congealing, did he understand what you believed and why you believed it? And did that ever get discussed?
It's funny. I don't know. My grandfather knew that I was a talk radio host, but when I grew up, I'll tell you a quick story. I first worked at a radio station, WTHO, WTWA. It was an FM AM. WTHO was a country music station. Your better country FM, 101.7 on the FM dial. WTWA was a full-service local AM radio station, and its slogan was the Heart of Thompson. It was WTWA, your favorite easy listening hits from the 40s to the 80s, the Heart of Thompson. Both on WTWA, more so than THO, there was news. There was mutual news at the top of the hour. There was bottom of the hour news. We did the newscast. It was a 3,000 watt, and people that understand radio will understand how teeny this is. It was a 3,000 watt FM and a 1,000 watt AM. And they served McDuffie County. They served Thompson, a community of probably 30,000 people. On Saturday mornings on the FM radio station, there was a man by the name of Greg Harden. And I can do an impersonation of Greg Harden because I sat every Saturday morning for probably 3 years of my life on the AM side of things. I was running the AM station, and he was on the FM station. He bought 3 hours of time every Saturday morning from 9 until noon. And he had Greg Harden's old-time radio hour. And he would play old-school music, Hank Williams and old bluegrass that didn't get played on the radio anymore, even in the late 1980s. And he would take telephone calls. And he would always say the same thing. He would take, Bell, you'll appreciate this. We had turntables, and I would be running the FM station when he came in, and he came in he had a briefcase, and he wore overalls, and he opened up the briefcase, and in the briefcase, he always had the same thing, and I'm not making this up. He had a sandwich, a gun, and a pint of liquor in the briefcase.
That's all you need.
That's all you need. And he'd have a stack of albums under his arm, and he would hand me, and he'd say, "Sonny boy, cue that up to cut number 3." And I would. And Greg would get in there, and he would, "Oh, hello, everybody. It's Greg Harden's old time." And he would talk about everything we're gonna visit. He would go around to nursing homes. It was actually quite a brilliant concept. He would go around to nursing homes, and he would find interesting people in nursing homes and interview them. And he would bring the tapes in, and he would play the interviews. And he would talk to people about World War II, their experiences back in the day, and he would relate that. And then people would call in, and he would have telephone calls. And he did advertisement after advertisement. It was the first experience I ever had with a live endorsement. He probably did 30 live endorsements every day, every Saturday morning. And I asked him one time, I said, Mr. Gregg, how much do you charge for? He said, Sonny boy, I get $25 to open my mouth. But
That's pretty good money for Thompson, Georgia.
No, man. Thompson, Georgia back in 1988. You're making a living, bro. And he would tell people, and I did this for a while, he would tell people, he said, before, he'd say, oh, we're going to talk to Miss Martha up there in Warren County, and we're going to talk to you on the telephone, and we got another visit with some great American. But before we do any of this, would you do me one favor? Friends, would you pick up the old telephone and call one neighbor and tell them that Greg Harden is on the air? Anyway, that was my experience. I think, to answer your question, Belle, when I told my grandfather that I got into talk radio, he knew that I was in radio from the time I was 15. When I told him I was a talk show host, I think that's what he thought I did. He thought I did Greg Harden. Because I don't think he really fully understood or was never really exposed to political talk radio.
So you guys never had a conversation between the two of you about what you felt as a libertarian?
Nah, I mean, he was, I freedom. Yeah, I mean, we talked about freedom and liberty, and occasionally we would talk about things going on in the world and more locally than anything. But, I mean, I understood that my grandfather was an old school Democrat. He was a Roosevelt Democrat, so.
But he never looked at you with a side eye because of your personal beliefs.
No, heck no. We got into a couple of. I remember we would get into some, not arguments, but just discussions, and he would shut them down. Discussions about certain aspects of politics back in the early 2000s, but. For the most part, he was over all of that by that time, and I don't know that he was ever invested in it. My grandfather represented America in that he was working way too hard. He was working 14-hour days, 15-hour days when I was a kid. He was working way too hard to worry about politics. 22 after the hour. We'll get Jeff. I know you've been holding for a while. We'll get to you first up next segment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So if you hear me talking about USS, United Structural Systems, right, and you're not sure, you're thinking, well, Matt, you talk about musty smells in the basement, musty smells in the crawl space. I'm not sure if I have a waterproofing problem. Well, let me tell you something. After this weekend, you'll be sure, because all of the rain coming into our area, and it's going to come down in waves, and a lot of rain coming down. Well, now's the time to recognize whether or not you have a problem, because if you have a waterproofing issue, if you have standing water in your basement or your crawl space, if you have musty odors, if you have a smell coming out of your floor, if you have hardwood floors cupping, your house is telling you something. You have a waterproofing issue, and you'll know it after this weekend because of all of the rain that's going to come down. Well, if that's the case, might I ask you to call USS, the best in the business, over 25,000 satisfied residential customers in their 30 years of service to this community. USS stands for United Structural Systems. Call them at 615, let me get the number, 615-488-7855, 488-7855, or go to USSTN.com, USSTN.com.
Got the Francine effect in Middle Tennessee. Heads up for drivers in Bellevue about a bridge that's going to close tomorrow. Law enforcement in Tennessee not playing around when it comes to these threats against schools. Got details at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
There's Mr. Ken Weaver. He's got those headlines coming up in about 3 minutes or so on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Have you guys seen this this spacewalk that's going on?
Yeah.
Would you, Ken Weaver, if I gave you the chance, would you go into outer space?
No.
No. Bell?
You know, I would seriously consider it because it's one of those things that's it's almost a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And, like, I'm extremely height phobic. I have severe fear heights.
I was telling you the story about the AM tower the other day, and you were getting sweaty.
Oh, yeah, I was. Because I just think about that, and it makes me sweat. But when I'm in a plane, I have zero issues. And to think about getting to do that, it's like I would probably have to be convinced not to do it.
I was telling Belle the story the other day of when I went to work at the radio station. I was just referencing WTWA. We had our tower in the back. You know, it was a nice small radio station. It was a really well run small radio station, and the tower was in the back field. And the general manager and owner of the radio station, Mike Wall, was complaining. I was 16 years old. He was complaining about having to pay $500. This was in 1989 to replace the upper bulb on the tower. It was almost a 300-foot tower. I think it was like 290 feet. And I told him that I'd do it for $200. And he goes, no, I don't think he could do it. And I said, I'll do it for $200. And we talked about it, and I did it for $200 and regretted every second of it after about 100 feet in the air. Because you get past the guide wires, and that thing starts swaying, and there's a sway capability of up to a foot based on the wind speed going on there.
Which is intentional. It's meant to do that so it won't break.
And I had a belt, and I had to strap on the belt, and so I had a safety harness on, but still, man, oh man. And I'm telling Belle this story about getting up there and having to take the big cap off to get to the bulb, and I had a backpack on with the bulb and my tools in my backpack.
Yes, sir.
And I'm telling this story, and Belle's sweating as I'm telling the story, and I'm like,
dude, I can. I'm not exaggerating. I can look at a picture of like off the side of a building or a dam or something, and I will start feeling the effects of it physically.
Yeah, I got to get on my belly to look over a cliff.
Oh man,
I can't do it, man.
Oh man, I would do SpaceX. I would do it in a heartbeat. If Elon Musk called me up and said, Murphy, you want to go up? Yes, sir. Absolutely.
What if the dogs were playing the tide?
Oh, well, no. Can we do it on Sunday, Elon? Can we do it Sunday afternoon? Can we do it? Can we do it? Can I take a TV up there to watch? Hey, you got any of that, what is it, Starlink? You got some Starlink up there, Elon, so I can watch the Crimson Tide get run over by my Bulldogs? Yeah, that would actually be tough, especially this year, because I think they're weak, Ken. I don't know. I think they're weak.
Who?
The Crimson Tide?
Oh, the Tide.
I think the Tide are beatable this year. I'm just maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm whistling past the graveyard. I don't know, but I think they're beatable this year. All right, Jeff. Hey, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Jeff, I promised you that I would get to you this segment, and I lied to you, and I'm sorry. But I'm going to make it up to you in a second, so hang in there just a second. Ken Weaver's got to do the news, and then we're getting to Jeff in the Borough on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$1:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and heads up, drivers, tomorrow in Bellevue, that bridge on Highway 100 over the Harpeth River is going to be closed for construction work. Doesn't look like it's going to reopen until Monday. And Hurricane Francine remnants now dumping some rain on parts of Middle Tennessee. There's going to be more of it. Tell you about it during the full forecast in 5 minutes. Tennessee law enforcement, they're not playing around when it comes to threats against schools. Channel 4 says 15 students have been arrested in East Tennessee for making school threats so far this year. Officials say there have been about 50 threats in Knox, Anderson, and Sevier counties.
In some instances, these reports, as it turns out, have been retaliatory, where one kid wants to get another kid in trouble. And so they falsely report that someone has threatened to shoot up the school.
Yeah, there were about 2,000 students absent from school yesterday in Anderson County because of 4 students making threats. A new study from Forbes shows Tennessee leads the nation for the most adults who vape. 7 of the top 10 states are in the South: Kentucky, Alabama, and Arkansas. Younger people are taking up vaping. A study by the CDC says 24% of high school seniors report vaping in the past 30 days. And right now in California, there's no damage or injuries after a 4.7 magnitude earthquake shook parts of Southern California this morning. But ABC's Alex Stone says everybody jumped into action when alerts told them to take cover immediately.
Many around L.A. didn't feel a thing if they weren't near the epicenter in Malibu, but the relatively new earthquake early warning system activated over the entire region. I know in our house, as the kids were getting ready to head out to school, it created panic and anxiety because the alert said a 5.0 was coming and to take cover, and then nothing shook in our house. So for children and adults, that early warning for no shaking is almost worse than feeling some shaking without any warning.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Man, the bugs are getting excited about the fall. You know what they do in the fall weather? They come from the out of doors, then they go inside to be in your home. They take advantage of your kindness. If you don't have pest control service at your home through U.S. Pest, then you're offering an open door policy to all of the bugs and the nastiness and the creepy crawlies. And, they bring with them all of the things that come with the bug. I mean, they're creepy. There's no question. Spiders are creepy. Roaches are creepy, but they also come with disease. And the purpose of pest control in the very existence of U.S. Pest is to prevent insect and rodent-borne diseases from endangering the health of your property and to just keep them out of your property. I mean, they're a little communist. So whether it's full-service pest control or termite protection, get with the best. Get with U.S. Pest. You can contact them by going online to uspest.com. That's uspest.com. Or give them a call and schedule that free inspection today. They'll come out to your house, offer that inspection to you. Never a hard sell. They're just going to tell you what they can offer you. And they, trust me, are the best in the business when it comes to eliminating pests on your property, in your home, protecting your family in the process. 590-1260. 615-590-1260 for the one and only U.S. Pest. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. One of these days, I'll convince Bel K to get on camera with me. But until that day, I'll describe to you what he does off camera. Like, I don't have to hear the conversation that you're currently having with Debbie to know that you and Debbie Matthews are currently talking about your allergies, aren't you?
No, we were talking about the debate.
You are a liar.
I was like, what I was doing is like, sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees, and I was waving my hand over my eyes.
Oh, no, I know exactly what you were going, oh, man, I'm all stuffed up, and then Matt told me about Zyrtec. And do you still think it's from the cats?
Yeah, I do.
What are you going to do?
Nothing. I'm just going to
suffer?
take Claritin.
Well, suck it up, Buttercup, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
You don't get rid of Erica just because you're allergic to her.
Well, that actually is the opposite.
Oh,
that's the opposite. I'm the one you got that exactly backwards, my friend. All right, as promised, Jeff, I have made you hold for far too long. The floor is yours, sir. You're on the Matt Murphy Show. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, guys. Enjoying the show. I wanted to go back a few minutes. You were talking about how we all felt on 9/12, 2001. It got me thinking, on that day, if I would have walked up to you, to think about this, and I'd have said, you know how we're all feeling today, and we want to make somebody pay for this, we know basically what happened. In 20 years, you'll be able to come from any country in the world, you'll be able to walk across our border, our country is going to put you on a plane, we're going to send you into, various cities within our country. We're going to give you a phone. We're going to set you up with benefits. We're going to register you to vote. Would you think you'd have been able to wrap your head around that on that day?
I don't think we would have. It would have been difficult, right?
It's just impossible to think of.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. I mean
you would have said, regardless of political party, there's no way in hell either one of these political parties would allow something like that to happen in this country.
Right. We have woken up to the danger around us. We uniformly recognize the danger that the world can present, and we see in the modern era. And I didn't hang up on you, Jeff. Your phone went dead on me, so don't think I hung up on you. I did not. I apologize if you were trying to get another point out, but one way or the other. Call back if you need to. 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. But the point that you make is a good one. Now, I understand 23 years is a long time. It's almost a quarter century. But we, as a nation, I guess I can make the arguments that perhaps some liberals never truly meant it with regard to border security, and really maybe some conservatives, or at least Republicans, never really meant it. But we seemed wide awake, regardless of political party, in the aftermath of September 11th as to the dangers the world presented to us. And we became violently aware that we were not immune to some of the world activities that were happening with regard to terrorism around the globe. I admit, 23 years ago, I was a babe. I was 28 years old. 28 years old. Just turned 28. Thought I knew everything. Thought I was the smartest human being on planet Earth. Doing my talk radio show and producing another one in Montgomery, Alabama. I was not aware of the dangers of terrorism around the globe until September 11th. I admit that. I don't think most of us were. But we sure as hell were aware afterwards. We learned. And it felt as if, it seemed that we were committed for the long haul. I mean, George W. Bush said it as much. He said, look, this is not something, the war on terror is not something that's going to be solved overnight. It's not something that's necessarily going to be you're not going to win this war on an aircraft carrier. We knew that. The best that we could hope for is to keep it off of our shores, and we have done a pretty good job of doing that. Not the best, but I don't know of a time in our history post 9/11 over the last 23 years that we've been more vulnerable. The southern border situation makes us more vulnerable as we've ever been since that time. Thank you for the call, Jeff. I appreciate you so much. 615-737-9986. Kurt is next in Hendersonville. Kurt, thank you for your call as well, sir. How are you?
Good, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, I just about seven or so years ago, I visited the memorial there in New York City, and that I don't know if you've had an opportunity. I don't think they have that open anymore for the 9/11 memorial. But it was the most devastating to me emotionally, I would say.
Oh, you mean you mean on the side of the World Trade Center?
Yes, sir. Yes,
I have been, and I think it's open.
Yeah, and the tour that we had, I guess that one room where the forensic room is, you come down the stairs on the left there, and they talked about how all the a family of the victims of 9/11, they were permitted to, they gave them free passes, and they talked about one man in his 70s that would come every week and knock on that door and say, "Did you find my wife yet?"
Oh my gosh!
They were going through the the DNA. It was so microscopic that they still couldn't find all the people. And he asked them every week, "Did you find my wife?"
Oh,
and that was just, I lost it when the guy said that. And the guy that was giving us the tour through it, we had all these headphones on, and then he'd turn away for a moment, and then he'd stop talking to us, and he'd turn back around again, and tears would be flowing down his face. He says, "I've been doing this for 5 years, and it doesn't get any easier." So anyway, I want to share with you, brother. Thanks a lot. See ya.
Thanks a lot, Kurt. I appreciate it. Yeah, if you've never been, I had the opportunity years ago to go to there's a Cascade waterfall and the footprint of the Twin Towers. There's the survivor tree, and then you go into the memorial. You go underneath, and most of the memorial and museum is underground, and they have some of the fire trucks that were there, and there's a lot of different areas. The most impact, and they have a lot of things that were found on site that just bring you back to that moment. But there's also an area that the most emotionally impactful area is the area dedicated to the jumpers, and they intentionally, during the course of the tour, they put that part of the tour in a way that you could skip it because they recognize the emotional impact of discussing the jumpers. For those that aren't aware with the vernacular, I mean, the jumpers are the people that were in the towers that were either at or above the area of impact of the two planes that made the ultimate decision to take their lives, or their lives were taken from them. I don't want to say it the way that I originally did. Their lives were taken by the SOB terrorists that crashed the planes into the World Trade Center towers. So they were going to pass away through fire or through jumping, and that area, it is impossible to imagine that you can get through that area without breaking down emotionally. And if you've never been, it's an important thing to do. It's an important thing to remember, but it will affect you deeply on in a place where we don't go very often from an emotional perspective. I'll just say it that way. 615-737-9986. Sharon is next in the borough. Hey, Sharon, glad you called.
Hey, love your show, Matt.
Thank you.
So I was listening to you talking about, how when you were younger and you were doing all this radio stuff and you didn't have an understanding of all the dangers around the world. Now, course, I mean, I don't know how much older I am than you, but I have for a long time realized dangers around the world. But what I didn't recognize until recent years is the dangers in my own country. You know, the communists, literally, a few years ago, I Googled Communist Party USA, and I was shocked at how many communist groups there are in this country.
There's a bunch of them, no question.
A bunch. And so, you know, when the Constitution says, you know, that, you know, our government's supposed to protect us and, I can't remember. But it basically, you know, our government is supposed to be protecting the U.S. citizens, but they're not doing it. As a matter of fact, it's quite the opposite.
Mm.
They're the ones that are endangering us now.
You know, it is the ultimate. It's almost an oxymoron, the way that we live our lives in the United States of America, that we live in a country based on freedom and liberty and the right of the people to determine how they are to be governed, that the people are the ultimate bosses, not the politicians, and certainly not the government. But we believe in freedom so much. Our founding fathers understood the importance of freedom so much that there are loopholes in the system that could allow us to slowly slide away from the concepts of freedom and liberty. In other words, we get the government that we deserve. And if we do not remind people regularly the dangers of different types of systems of government, like communism or socialism, we will slowly slide toward that system.
Yes, and I think there's just been too many teachers and professors and schools and colleges and universities that have been preaching communism, Marxist stuff without maybe labeling it for too many years, and now we're in a bad spot.
Well, that's right, because we sadly have the wolves voting the sheep for dinner, it seems. You have a lot of people that think we're a straight-up direct democracy, and they believe that they have the right to vote through the rule of the mob, how we're going to be governed as opposed to the rule of law. I mean, no, you're exactly right. But I would remind people, and thank you, Sharon, for the call, I would remind people that we get the government that we deserve, but we also believe in a country that cherishes freedom so much that other people are allowed to feel or believe what they want to believe. You know, we don't throw communists in jail. Communists throw capitalists in jail. That is the moral difference between our system of government and their system of government. At its most essence, we believe in a nation that cherishes freedom to the point that you get to believe in a different system of government if you want to and still live here and function here. That's not the way it goes in communist China. That's not the way that it goes in Venezuela. In Venezuela, after Maduro won his elections, what did he do? He rounded up all of the political opposition and threw them in jail. And that is a cherished part of our system as well, that we can look at these people and laugh at these people and wag our fingers and talk about how foolish they are to believe in a communist system or a socialist system that has never worked. But at the same time, we let them live here. And sadly, they vote. It's 1:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. At some point, you're going to have to replace your heater. At some point, you're going to have to replace your AC. Don't you want to do it with somebody that you trust? Let's talk about Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling for a moment, because they are an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. They're ready to go when it comes time to replace that AC or that heating unit, but they understand that these things are expensive. They're never going to recommend that you do this before you need to. Now, sadly, there are some that do that. They feel like it's just the path of least resistance. Hey, just go ahead and replace it. Then we don't have to worry about it. And there's no possibility of something else going wrong down the road. Well, but you're also costing yourself money. By doing it years before you need to, you're costing yourself money down the road, and you're losing life out of the unit. Jeff Eddy understands these things. He's going to be straightforward and honest with you when you make the call that so many others have made to Jeff Eddy's Efficient Heating and Cooling. EfficientHVAC.net, EfficientHVAC.net, or call 615-784-4424, 784-4424. Tell him that Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only Efficient Heating and Cooling.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and right now we got a big traffic problem in Rutherford County, Murfreesboro to be precise. The left 3 lanes are blocked. This is going to be 24 westbound near New Salem Highway, exit 80. Francine is dumping rain on parts of Middle Tennessee. It's going to continue to do so through the weekend, and we cannot rule out things like flash flooding, severe storms that spin up tornadoes. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in Middle Tennessee, News 2 says flat tires get the blame for delaying a flight out of BNA this morning. Multiple tires were flattened before an Alaska Airlines flight took off. Passengers were seen departing that plane with the flattened tires while it was there on the tarmac. News 2 says maintenance crews inspected the tires amid multiple airport police officers surrounding that plane. And get a load of this story by Alex Stone, a man facing federal charges for allegedly assaulting flight attendants this week.
30-year-old Charles Salva was on a Frontier Airlines flight from Orange County, California to San Francisco, according to federal prosecutors. He allegedly opened up and pulled down an oxygen mask as a plane was taking off. Then he allegedly began yelling that the airplane was going down. Prosecutors say he grabbed fellow passengers and a flight attendant, tried to restrain him as he ran toward the rear of the plane. Then he allegedly tried to choke the flight attendant and pushed another, saying he was going to kill everybody, and he broke out of plastic handcuffs. The flight diverted, and he could get 20 years in prison.
Back here in Tennessee, Wilson County authorities are not playing around when it comes to threats against schools. An 8th grader is under arrest for making threats against Mount Juliet Middle School and Green Hill High School. Wilson County Sheriff's Office says the kid's a student at Mount Juliet Middle School, and they plan to charge him to the fullest extent of the law, which can lead to suspension, expulsion, or the Sheriff's Department says far more severe consequences. Channel 4 says the Nashville Sports Authority Board is learning more about the total cost for the new Titan Stadium. During this morning's meeting, they found out it's going to be over budget. Now, the Titans are going to have to pay for the overages and show how they're going to cover these extra costs. Until now, the total number for the new Titan Stadium was $2.1 billion. Now it's up to $2.2 billion. And there are rattled nerves in Southern California after a 4.7 magnitude earthquake right as kids were heading out to school this morning. This student at Pepperdine University in Malibu says it really shook things up.
Like crazy shaking in my bedroom. I don't know. I'm from Texas originally, so this was crazy for me.
Yeah, the original quake was followed by half a dozen smaller aftershocks. One small rock slide blocked a road there in California. No other major damage or injuries. Several major wildfires continue to burn across Southern California, including the Bridge Fire in the Angeles National Forest. Progress being made.
We have some progress. We're finally seeing containment levels when it comes to the airport fire and the line fire. Those are the ones over in Riverside County and Orange County. So that's some good news. Finally, some favorable weather conditions.
President Biden inviting world leaders to Delaware this month. Here's White House correspondent Karen Travers.
President Biden on September 21st in Wilmington, Delaware, will host a group of world leaders that together make up what the White House calls the Quad. He'll welcome the prime ministers of Australia, India, and Japan for what will be the fourth in-person Quad Leaders Summit. The White House says they'll discuss maritime security, natural disaster response, cybersecurity, and climate and clean energy, among other issues.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
I got another person yesterday emailing me asking me if that's me screaming, "Cut it." It is not me screaming, "Cut it." That is, I always forget the name of the band. Shinedown? I think that's right. Cut the cord.
I love them.
Shinedown, Cut the cord. Anyway.
But if you listen to Taylor Swift's We Are Never Getting Back Together,
we're not doing that anymore.
Matt is the person saying ever.
No.
Okay, so why do you want to do this to yourself? I don't understand why you want to do it. We were just going to let it go, but then you bring it back up. I mean, we're ready to move on from it, and then here you come. Bleh, you vomited all over the show.
You're the one who went in the studio with her.
It's 206 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. That's the voice of Debbie Matthews, who's joining us for a specific reason, and just generally speaking, we love to catch up with Debbie.
Well, we got that Kyle Rittenhouse event coming. That's the main reason that I'm here today.
It's a big deal.
I got to see my guys, my boys.
And,
hey, Belle, there's a Haitian online showing videos on how to skin and boil your cat. If your cat's really giving you that bad of allergies, we got a video for you.
I'm just going to I'm leaving. I'm walking out.
Just teasing.
It's my understanding there's more than one way to do that.
Oh, man, they're stomping their heads. I read the voodoo thing about the good luck of eating a cat. This is a voodoo thing.
It's a Haitian thing.
Yes, it's a Haitian thing about...
it's a Haitian thing primarily because they have no food.
The single greatest Haitian contribution to the world?
Yeah.
Zombies.
Really? Well,
yes.
Zombie movies. Except the Clintons did their honeymoon there in 1975. Don't forget that.
They did not.
Yes, they did.
Is that real?
It is. Listen, guys, the Clintons are the reason those dang people are having to leave Haiti.
By the way, everybody, if you don't know, we love Debbie. Debbie is one of my favorites. But Debbie also will roll with the damn conspiracy theory.
No. Listen, I looked at I saw it. I saw it somewhere, and then I looked it up to verify. 1975 was their first romantic group. I've got it. I posted it on Twitter. 1975 was their first romantic thing there. It may not have been their honeymoon, but it was 75. Someone said it was their honeymoon, and so yeah. Absolutely. The reasons that the Haitians want to be able to stay at their home, right? They want to live in their spot, but it has been so corrupted by Western entities, especially the Clintons. They can't stay there. And now Kamala has given special privileges, whatever that term is. They have imported 320,000 Haitians, flew them into the United States, which is 5% of the Haitian population. And that under this special provision, they cannot be deported. And here we are dealing with the Clinton mess all over again. That's where I am. I'm telling you. My mic is going in and out. Am I going in and out?
No, you sound fine. I think it's your headphones.
Yeah.
Maybe,
somebody turn the headphones up.
Maybe jiggle your headphone knob over there.
That's better. Whatever you just did, Bill. Okay.
He didn't do anything.
I turned my head like that.
All right. So back to the Taylor Swift thing.
Nope.
Debbie and I have decided we're boycotting Taylor Swift. Is Belle leaving? Belle's decided to leave.
I think he's decided to leave.
He has. We're boycotting all things Taylor Swift. And I told Belle during the break, I said, you're going to have to pick.
Yeah.
And he said, you don't want me to do this. And I'm thinking, well, no.
Don't give her any royalties.
Continue your thought.
You know what? Listen, her people, her fans can't buy bread. They can't buy a house.
No.
I am a realtor.
In all seriousness, cut that crap out. In all seriousness. Remember, I mean, I know we joke around. I'm not kidding. You're making me want to puke. I'm being dead serious. Don't play that anymore.
You are literally not needing to puke.
I am being dead serious.
Yeah, me too.
Do not play her music on my show.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm being dead serious.
Okay.
I mean, I hate to be that way, but it's like I was like, no, she can't be that stupid. In this polarizing of a political atmosphere, why doesn't she just tell everybody, get registered and vote? Just like Caitlyn did, the basketball player. They asked her who she was going to vote for. Did she think Trump was going to win? She goes, that's not my platform. My platform is at least to tell everybody to go and vote and exercise their rights.
And I'm mad at her for another reason now, because she's created a schism between Belle and myself.
I know. Bell's
mad at me now because I got mad at him for playing the song.
Listen, there's some things that you just have to stand up for and say.
Well,
no.
And I love Belle.
And I'm going to
hug it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hug him.
Yeah, hug it out.
No, he's gone. Belle left.
He's going to get me some headphones, I think, because,
jiggle this one. That one's the one.
It's out over here.
Okay.
It's in over here.
All right.
If I hold it this way, I'm good. So anyway, so
I'm madder than I'm madder than a hornet at Taylor Swift.
Yeah, me too.
Because I got all mad and I feel like I've upset Belle.
Especially after the ISIS situation with her things over there. She wouldn't be dealing with that if she had a strong executive in the White House. But she has chosen sides now. And that's just not, I don't know. I'm unhappy. I am unhappy.
Well, but I'm not even unhappy at her necessarily. She can do whatever she wants to do.
She can vote for whoever she wants.
But I am very annoyed at the idea. And I don't like endorsements anyway.
Right.
I don't like the idea of someone waiting to find out how someone else is going to vote on something in order to inform them how to vote.
Right.
I want people to think for themselves.
Right.
And So I'm more upset at the idea that there are people that would go out and vote specifically for these reasons.
Because of Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Well, she's about the only person with more people on Instagram or Twitter than Trump. Trump's got 88 million people. She's got 95.
Elon's got like almost 200 million.
Yes, almost 200 million.
So now that Belle's back, I want to say I'm madder than I can ever express at Taylor Swift for causing a schism between us. Can we hug it out, Belle? Is that okay? Belle's still mad at me. See, Belle's mad at me now. I got mad at Belle, and then Belle's mad at me, and Taylor Swift has created a rift in our marriage, in our platonic radio marriage, and we need to figure it out.
I really think that you give her way too much power. I don't let politics decide what I like in entertainment, and she's not.
Me either.
She does not get to define my relationship with you.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I love you too, Belle.
What'd you think of the debate?
I thought that the bar was set so low. I mean, Joe Biden literally did such a poor job that he had to leave the race, right? So the bar was set so low, there was zero chance that the mainstream media networks were not going to give Kamala Harris a thumbs up and a passing grade. I thought she did fine.
She did fine.
I think, I mean, she held her own. She was well prepared. She was ready for the questions. I know some people believe she was given the questions. I don't think she had to be given the questions. She knew what they were going to ask her, right?
Yeah, we had that drinking game graph where everything she was going to say, it was on there. All she had to do was follow, okay, say J6 here, say Project 2025 there, do it all with jazz hands. I mean, it was awesome. If we had been drinking, we would have been under the table, but...
There she is.
I want to be unburdened by what has been of the last 4 years. So, yeah, I want to be unburdened by the Biden.
No, they're going to attempt to pretend that they have not been in political power, and the media is giving them a pass on all of this. And look, I didn't like the fact checking in real time. I did not believe it was the place of ABC to do it. But if you're going to do it, at least do it for both. And they decided to do it for Trump and not for her because they're in the bag for her.
I saw the number. I think it was 21 times that she lied. That were statements, but there were lies like when Trump said, "You all have kept my tariffs." She shook her head no, and it was like, no. Biden just said 2 weeks ago, we're keeping the China tariffs because they're working. Or the thing about the late-term abortions with Northrop in Virginia. I think Trump accidentally said West Virginia. But you know what I saw? Can I say what I saw? Y'all have never run for public office, right? Neither one of you.
I have not.
Okay, so
too many skeletons.
If you have ever...
Too many warrants for Belle, too many skeletons for me.
If you've ever been a candidate having to debate... It's hard and it's scary and there's a lot of nerves. But for Trump walking into enemy territory with ABC, who he's got a lawsuit with, and with Kamala, who he had never met, in a sterile environment, after doing all the events that he has done, I watched a man, a mere human, walk in with the weight of the Western civilization on his shoulders. Because, guys... What's happened in Europe with freedom of speech, all of this stuff, I mean, this is a turning point for us all. And I watched him go in when he could have been at home with a beautiful woman in bed as a billionaire. I watched him fight. I watched him very proud of his record. I watched him defend his record because he's proud of it. And I watched the man fight for his mere existence. 3 against 1. It wasn't pretty. There were things I wish he had gotten her on and got you earlier because I debate and there was a lot of things he could have jumped in on earlier. But I love the man because he doesn't have to fight and he's still fighting. He was just shot 8 weeks ago and he's standing on stage fighting for us. Loved it.
I love Trump. I'm all in, have been since the escalator, so my bona fides are well established. That said,
it was
he is very comfortable in his own skin, and I think through that comfort, perhaps there were a couple of opportunities missed, but I'm not here to, I'm not here to nitpick
he let
that.
her, and he jumped on, he went after everything. He was almost like Squirrel. Everything she said, he tried to answer, and he just needed to let it go and just
the 2020 stuff, let it go. Jan 6 stuff, let it go. I mean,
the
just
bloodbath thing, let it go. I mean, there was just because his people know him.
Crowd size thing, let it go.
We know him. His people know him. He doesn't have to defend himself. We're defending him out there. We're his troops. We're his front lines. We know all of this. We are an educated electorate, unlike the other side, honestly. So. Yeah, but I love that he fought. It wasn't pretty. There was something. You've been in public a lot. You've given public speeches. I've given public speeches. We've done radio shows. Some are better than others. Some are flat. Some are, and you walk away going, well, that wasn't my, but some nights it's magic, right? So he didn't have the magic night.
Well, but I don't believe that this is a defining moment in the presidential contest. Obviously, it's a big night. A lot of eyeballs are on the screen. A lot of ears
all
are
of Western
listening.
Civilization was showing, he probably was carrying the weight of RFK supporters going, this is their first time they're really hearing me being a part of our team. I mean, that was a lot of pressure, guys. I'm just
0246 on the membersnutrition.com super text line says, Facebook ain't letting me watch y'all live. What happened? I don't know. Maybe it's Debbie.
Oh my God! Do you think
I never thought about that?
Broke the camera.
And all, hey,
we're connected.
Sally just came up with the line of the day.
What's that?
That Belle and I just had a Taylor Swift rift.
Shake it off, shake it off, da da da.
Hey, there's to be no Taylor Swift music on this show.
I was about to say now I almost want him to play it because I feel bad for getting mad about it.
No, yeah, but anyway, happy birthday, by the way.
Well, thank you.
I know
You're very
September
sweet.
1st. You and Jason are born on the exact same day.
Are we now?
You are. I think y'all about the same age.
Jason has a new song out, right? What is the deal with this?
Okay, so when Trump got shot.
By the way, we should back up. Tell everybody who your husband is.
My husband's name is Jason Matthews, and you would know he's a singer-songwriter. He's phenomenal, and he's a great singer, a great songwriter. He wrote Must Be Doing Something Right for Billy Currington. He wrote That's Just Jesse. That's a little unknown song. That was his first single. He wrote Countryman for Luke Bryan, Drinking Beer and Wasting Bullets, which is the hunting season's opening song. Muckley Creekwater, he wrote Lonely Eyes for Chris Young. He wrote Breakdown Here for Julie Roberts and Trace Atkins. Anyway, so he had...
Sounds like a reasonably lazy man.
Yeah, right. I mean, he's not really accomplished anything in his songwriting career.
But he had throat cancer in 2019, and then we went into COVID or whatever. But when Trump got shot, I looked at Jason and I said, there's no anthems. There's nothing to rally people. There's nothing that gives us that feel good that we need. You know, Jason, we own a little record label. I said, I want to put out Tough People Do. And Trace Atkins had cut this song a long time ago. It was played at the Republican National Convention when Mitt Romney, yawn, was the nominee. And it never really got released. And I said, no, we're going to release this because people need to hear something like this right now. And in the song, it says, we got to fight like we don't know how to lose. And that reminded me of Trump that day. You know, tough times don't last, tough people do. That's the single. So I wanted to see if we could spin it today.
Yeah, we're going to.
Okay.
We'll take a short time out. We'll get to a few of your telephone calls, too. Brian wants to talk about the debate. John wants to talk immigration. We'll do that.
Yep.
We'll continue talking with Debbie Matthews
and
this
Kyle
hour.
Rittenhouse.
And Kyle Rittenhouse is coming to town. When is that?
September the 23rd in Columbia at 6 o'clock. And I want to say this. The tickets for VIP are $150, $100 for just a regular Patriot ticket. But we have people that have bought tables that are not going to be able to fill them. So if there's somebody out there that really wants to see them, but they don't have the funds to do that, we're going to take care of you. Just go to CRMC, that's short for Conservative Republicans of Murray County, .club. Who knew there was a .club, but there is. CRMC.club, and email us there and let us know you want to get a ticket or come to the thing.
You know,
you're bringing Kyle by, right?
Yeah, of course.
Kyle. No.
I mean, he's going to land at the airport.
Kyle.
You can bring him right by the radio. I mean, right?
That makes total sense to me. You got to drive by here anyway.
He's coming Sunday night. So if y'all are here Sunday night, I'll bring him by. But he's doing my show, the Debbie Matthews Show, on Spotify or Apple.
I see how it is.
On Monday. No, but if you can work him in on Monday, we'll figure it out.
We'll work him in on Monday.
Okay.
There's no question.
But I'm paying for him to come, so you gotta.
You want me to give you a couple bucks?
His speaking fee ain't cheap.
Belle, me and you, we should.
No, but I've got
throw
you
a
two.
couple bucks
I've
on the
got
table.
you two tickets at my table, or you, if I need to do three, figure it out. But Kyle Rittenhouse is coming, and you know why Kyle Rittenhouse is important right now? Because there was nobody affected more by the many Minnesota riots than this poor young man who was in Kenosha, and now we've got Tim Walz who let those riots happen. And so it was ordained by God that Kyle Rittenhouse was coming during this election while this guy's running for VP. I can't wait.
Ray has a question. I don't want you to answer it now. I want you to answer it after the break. Ray's question is, I've heard a report that Kyle Rittenhouse is not supporting Trump. Is that true?
No. I'm sorry.
Debbie?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You're a radio. It's a tease.
I'm
you know
sorry.
what I'm saying? You got to tease it.
I was a premature.
That was a premature answer.
Anyway, but we'll talk about why.
It was a premature exclamation on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Awesome.
Got a crash in Rutherford County, and it is blocking the left two lanes at 24 westbound near New Salem Highway in Murfreesboro. Had an incident on the runway at Nashville International Airport this morning. Two planes had to abort takeoff. We'll tell you about it at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Before I make a joke, Ken Weaver, can I ask you one little question about the T's there?
Yeah.
Is everybody okay on the airplanes?
Everybody's okay.
Everybody's okay. Okay. Well, then that because I didn't.
I guess there's no word on that,
Okay.
but I can't. There's nothing that says they're not.
Have you ever seen the George Carlin thing about airports and aircraft?
I have not.
Oh, it's so good. He's like, what they call it when two planes come real close to each other, they call it a near miss. It's like near miss. To hell with that. That's a near hit. Well, he also disagreed with the idea of calling where the plane lands a terminal.
I know, you're right.
Anyway, so Debbie Matthews is with us talking about Kyle Rittenhouse coming to town. Yes. By the way, who's a Bon Jovi fan? I mean, everybody's a Bon Jovi fan today, right?
I like Bon Jovi.
No, we can't be a Bon Jovi fan. He's endorsed Kamala.
No, we can't.
I gave you my grumpy. Bell, I am sorry. That's what
I'm just trying to keep this show consistent, sir.
I got all grumpy at Bell. Hold on. I got all grumpy at Bell, and I got legit grumpy, and I gave him the wag the finger. And then I felt bad for being grumpy because I feel better about myself. I threw my grumpy in Bell's lap, and now Bell has it. And I don't know, he doesn't know what to do with it.
I'm just keeping us consistent, baby.
Did he really?
Yes.
Well, he's a big libtard.
Dude, he's always been a big liberal.
Yeah.
Well, but at least he's saving lives.
Yeah, and he feeds a lot of people in New Jersey. He has a food restaurant that feeds whoever comes in.
That is ridiculous. That is government's job.
Well, that's true. So for those who haven't heard, if you've not been listening to the newscast, et cetera, and the news of the day, apparently John Bon Jovi was in town filming some sort of music video on the pedestrian bridge over the Cumberland River. Right. And there was a woman on the bridge. It was about 6 o'clock local time last night. He was filming a music video for his song People's House over the pedestrian bridge leading, once again, across to the East Bank. And in a surveillance video that you can see, you can access it. Did you bump it again? Mm-hmm. I thought I had just jiggle it.
I got it.
You got it?
I got it.
Okay. In a surveillance video provided by the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department, the singer-songwriter can be seen approaching a woman who appears to be about to jump off the bridge into the Cumberland River. I don't know how often this happens, but...
Well, she is on the other side of the...
yeah, she got on the other side of the railing.
Yeah, she looks like a jumper.
Yeah, I mean, it did not look like she just wanted some attention from John Bon Jovi. It looked like she was serious about the matter. And look, there was a time when I was a little cold-hearted on this stuff, but I've talked to enough people who have survived these types of things. We had, remember early on when I first got here, we had the lady from the Natchez Trace bridge.
Oh, yes.
Gosh,
you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's high.
And I'm embarrassed because I actually knew her before she came on the show.
Well, her
son
had
jumped off.
Jumped off
she was
the bridge.
Lobbying to get barriers put up.
And I hate it that we have to do that. I hate it that, because the beautiful bridge that it is, it's being altered because of the necessity, because it had become a magnet. And some of these things become magnets, where people learn about them and they gravitate to these places to end their lives. And
can I say something?
You can, of course.
So there's, I think his name is Steve Sain. I'm not getting the name right, but he was interviewed on Tucker Carlson, and he is a statistician, and he basically was looking at the stats on whether the African American community was better or not since BLM. And the stats are dismal on what's going on with the black community. And so he's going through all of this since then, car accidents, everything. It was really interesting. But then he goes on to say that right now, the highest level of people dying in this country are white rural people, and they're dying of deaths of despair, suicide, drugs, alcohol. And that there's nobody that's talking about rural despair. And so when you're talking about suicide, I think suicide rate is double the amount of the homicide rate in this country. So, Bell's making hand signals.
Oh, yeah.
But, not to bring it down, but man, they need to put up something.
Well, but thankfully, just to put a cap on the subject, thankfully, Bon Jovi talked to this lady, another Good Samaritan came in, they got her back across the bridge, and everything's A-okay. So regardless of wherever else he is from his political perspectives, thanks to Bon Jovi for doing a good and kind act. It is 30 minutes after the hour on Super Talk.
.2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And again, we got that crash in Murfreesboro. It's blocking the left 2 lanes of 24 westbound near New Salem Highway. Francine, dumping rain on Middle Tennessee. We'll tell you what else it has in store during the full forecast in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, Reuters says the FAA is investigating after an Alaska Airlines flight aborted takeoff on a runway at Nashville International Airport this morning to avoid a potential collision with a Southwest Airlines flight. Alaska Airlines says its Flight 369 with 176 passengers and 6 crew on board had clearance from the tower to take off, but had to abort. The FAA says Southwest Airlines Flight 2029 had been cleared to cross the end of the same runway. The Alaska pilots immediately applied the brakes to prevent the incident from escalating. This, according to the carrier. The plane had been scheduled to fly to Seattle, and passengers are being removed. That is to get on a new plane. And of course, you heard our earlier report this afternoon. News 2 was reporting that there was an Alaska flight that had flattened tires. And this may be the result. A gas leak at James Lawson High School caused a student to be taken to the hospital for evaluation. Metro School says gas was released from a valve in a science classroom this morning. Fire crews checked out students. And then this one student needed to be taken to the hospital as a precaution. No one else was hurt. Normal operations then resumed at James Lawson High School. And right now in Middle Tennessee, authorities working to determine how a man drowned at Elm Hill Marina last night. The man's friends are devastated, saying he said he needed to go to the restroom, jumped off the pontoon boat, did not resurface. They don't know why, because they say he was a good swimmer. However, reports say he didn't have on a life jacket. And Metro Police investigators are working to figure out the drowning as well. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
You know, it occurs to me that when I talk about Kraft Body Scan and the incredible deal, the $149 special heart and lung scan for you and a loved one, I don't talk about the process quite enough, and I want to go through it because I've been through the process. I had a full body scan with Kraft Body Scan. You have a private health consultation. You'll call, and you make an appointment, and they'll sit down with you, and they'll consult you on where you are, and they'll learn a little more about you and your health past and your health history. Then you get the scan done. The actual scan takes like 5 to 8 minutes. You don't take your clothes off or anything like that. It's not invasive. And then after the scan happens, the images are reviewed by their board-certified radiologist, and then they get the results back to you in the next day or so. The results are obviously reviewed by their team of providers, and it is a wonderful relief when they get a chance to call you and say everything is A-OK with your heart, A-OK with your lungs. Or if you do a full body scan, they look at much, much more than just that. Oh, it's a great feeling. And if they catch something before you're symptomatic, they're catching it early enough where we can deal with it in a way that it does not become life-threatening. That's what it's all about. Kraft Body Scan can be found at togetherwescan.com. That's togetherwescan.com. Or give them a call at 615-436-1000. 615-436-1000. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Gentlemen, let's talk about your energy and your health, okay? If you've lost energy over the years, perhaps you're in your 40s or your 50s even, and you have lost the motivation to get to the gym and do the workouts, or if this has manifested itself in a loss of interest in bedroom activity. I mean, look, I'm not here to talk about intimate activities with you and your loved one, but I am here to say this, that if that is happening with you, you're not alone. Over 50% of the men listening to me right now will have some sort of issue at some point in their lives. What if I told you there was an easy solution that you could get in, you could figure it out, you can get some blood work done? Is it T levels? Let's find out. And if it is, they can repair these things at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. They are a men's-centric healthcare center, and there are two locations. One is in Franklin. The other is in Midtown. Let's get to the root of the problem and get it behind us. Gentlemen, you'll be happy you did. Go to the TennesseeMen'sClinic.com or call 615-208-9090. 615-208-9090 for our friends at Tennessee Men's Clinic. Uh-huh. Jason Matthews, everybody. DM's Hub. What's this one called? Oh, hold on. What's this one called? What's it called?
It's called Tough People Do.
All right, let's listen.
I don't know where you are, Abdel.
You sound good. Can you not hear? I'm going to tell you like my mama used to tell me when I was young, stop fiddling with it, and it'll be fine. I'm picking on you, Debbie. That's a good song.
It's a damn good song.
That's a really good song. Tough times don't last. Tough people do.
Is he doing all the background vocals?
No, he's got some fantastic background people that he works with.
He's got a great voice, too. You were right.
He is, yeah. And he's even better just with an acoustic guitar. One of the best ever.
Where can folks find this song?
You can find it on Spotify, Jason Matthews. You can find it on all those locations for that, Apple Music.
Called Tough People Do.
Tough People Do. There's a Trace Atkins version out there, too. And anyway, it's good. We need something right now. Tough times don't last, tough people do. We need to hear that every day.
7122.
I asked Trace about that song. He goes, I hate that record.
Which record?
No, David Corlew was telling a story yesterday about how Trace cut a song of his.
Yeah.
And he was talking to Trace. He goes, hey, you just cut my song. And Trace goes, I hate that song.
I hate that song. Was it I'm Trying?
I think it was.
It's called I'm Trying.
It's so
Which
hard
is one of his
sing.
hits.
And it's hard to sing live, and everybody wants to hear it live. I know it's tough, but Trace is awesome. He's cut a lot of Jason's songs, and he cut this one, and he sang it at the Republican National Convention. And then it was flying up the charts. I think it went from 168 to 88. And then they were like, listen, the liberals have taken over country music. Talk to John Rich. Talk to anybody. You know, they don't really want to hear anything about conservative values anymore. And I think we put it this way. Country music is an American art form that talked about tradition and God and family, and they can't have that anymore. And it's been gutted over the years.
Well, I mean, hell, look at Jason Aldean.
I know.
Try that in a small town. Try that in a small town is the essence.
Yes.
It is the foundation. What the spirit of that song is the spirit of country music.
The video shot in Columbia, Tennessee.
That's exactly right.
And it said everything. You know, art is supposed to be a snapshot of what you're going through as a culture at that time. And that's a very important song that was talking about what we were going through in 2020. And I watched his interview on Tucker just yesterday. And Aldine is a neighbor of mine in Murray County, although we've never officially met. Jason's met him when he was out on the road with Luke Bryan, because Jason has written a lot of songs with Luke. But Aldine saw when you get that cancel culture, man, they want to just eliminate you being able to have a voice, period. So it's an interesting time, but we need all of our artists singing important songs that feed the soul, because music is supposed to lead the way.
And we've reached a point in our culture where it goes one way, right?
That's right.
There was a time where it went both ways.
Yeah.
Where where you could have, CCR singing Fortunate Son.
Right.
And then you could have patriotic songs talking about whatever. And it was okay. We accepted that, those different viewpoints.
Right.
Well, now you can have the most liberal song you want out there on the chart, and that's all well and good, and the media accepts that. But if you try that in a small town, suddenly they try to destroy Jason Aldean.
That's right. It's laws for thee, but not for me.
Right.
And so they can say whatever they want to about anybody. They can call Trump 1,000 names. They can defile Republicans, call us deplorables, all of that. But we can't say a word on and this is probably, again, Trump is carrying the Western civilization on his shoulders right now. If he is not elected, I am fearful about what is about to happen. So make sure everybody votes. Jason's mother is in a nursing home in North Carolina, and I heard she did not get a mail-in ballot for that. And it's like, I've got to go to North Carolina and make sure she gets to the polls now, because that's going to be a tight race there, But thank you for playing the song. I don't ever ask y'all to do that, but I think it's important right now.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. And it's a good song.
It's a great song.
And despite what 7120, there's always haters out there, 7122. Haters or motivators?
Yeah, but they can't play a D chord, so I don't want to hear from them. Right?
I can't
Until
either.
you can do it.
I can't either. No. John, let's talk to a couple of folks on the line. John's in Sumner. Hey, John.
Hey, how you doing? Appreciate you taking my call.
Yes, sir.
Just want to tell you a quick story. I met a man about 4, maybe 5 years ago. He loves deer hunting. He's got a small farm, about 100 acres or so. And I stopped in to see him, and on his wall, he's got probably 10 or 12 trophy deer mounted over his lifetime. I said, "You spotted your big one this year?" And he said, "No, matter of fact, there was a couple nice ones out there in velvet, but," he said, "I ain't seen them lately." He said, "I need to go check my trail cameras. I may have a bunch of coyotes or something coming in." So about 2 weeks later, I stopped back by there, and he said, "Come on and show you what's causing my problem." I said, "What problem?" He said, "My deer." He said, "They disappeared." And I went over and looked on his screen, and he had some trail cams he put out. And on these trail cams, there was just picture after picture of somebody on his property. He had several trail cams out. And it wasn't just one or two, it was like 3 or 4 at a time. And we got to looking, and these guys was going out on his property at night, and 1 or 2 of the pictures, they had like turkeys, where the turkeys are shooting turkeys off the roofs. One picture had them carrying out a small doe. Another picture had them some fish where they're digging frogs and stuff. And what it is, there's a creek that runs down the boundary lines of his property. On the other side of the creek, there's a road. And so he ended up putting some cameras out there that would notify him whenever some activity was going on. And he got a look in, because he saw so many pictures of not just the same guys, but every one of them that I saw were Asian. I ain't going to say Chinese, but I'm going to say Filipino, but they were Asian.
Where was this again, John?
This in, he lives right on the northern end of Sumner County.
Yeah.
And this was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so he went down there and caught them.
Oh, no. I mean, look, I mean, I'm not, I'm not trying to be a topper here, but I've heard story after story after story. John, you're exactly, of course. I mean, it is without dispute. One of the things that I like about the great cat eating debate.
Yeah.
Nobody's debating whether or not this is a serious problem anymore, right?
No, right.
The liberals, there was a time a couple of years ago, oh, that's not happening. Y'all are exaggerating.
Well, they said that at the debate. It wasn't happening. And that laugh of hers for the people in Smithfield when she denied it and she laughed, that's going to come back and bite Kamala Harris in the butt because these people are really, they're eating dogs now. It's awful. But John, listen, in Columbia, Tennessee, the amount of illegal immigrants that are coming into the county is unbelievable. They're now doing the morning announcement at Columbia Central High, both in English and Spanish.
That's crazy.
There's somebody online that said they tried to put his grandson in preschool, and when they got there, they said,
nobody spoke English?
Right, you got to have your own tutor. Yeah.
Yeah, they said get a tutor because everybody else speaks Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, we've only got about a minute, but I'll give it to you. What's going on?
Hey, I'm a big Trump supporter. I got something. Hang on with this, okay, because it's for Trump. Okay?
All right, you got to go quick, though. You got to go quick.
Okay, I am. And then I want to say quickly something about the debate.
Sure.
Do not be burdened again by what is now when you can again have the prosperity and safety of what was.
Amen.
Do not be burdened again by what is now when you can have again the prosperity and safety of what was. Mm-hmm. Okay, last point, okay. It's about the debate, okay. It's about the 5 to 8% of the people that some of them wishy-washy. How can they not know who they're for after what happened with all the killings, the thing that happened in Afghanistan, the woke change of boys into girls and boys? There's so much. So that's not who Trump is trying to convince, okay? That's who the ones he is trying to convince, the ones that are wishy-washy or they just hate Trump so much. So he won on substance, but he absolutely, if you were just one of those people looking at it who was calmer, smiling, even though she's phony as could be, I can't stand it. I almost couldn't even watch it all.
I know.
But by that, those are the people. Sometimes the talk on talk radio is as if he's trying to win us over. He's already got us. It's why do they not know who they're for already? Positively.
Well,
okay?
I don't quite understand that.
Is off. That shows their thinking is off.
Yeah.
There's several things he could have done, but when she brought up about the Chinese being poor, which is ridiculous. They hated the Chinese because of oil and everything, the green. But when that was opportunity to bring up Robert Kennedy Jr., a lot of other people that have come over,
yep.
And he didn't really ram home the point. I was waiting for oh man, here it comes. And it wasn't. You know what I'm trying to say? And then the crime and everything.
Brian,
he mentioned some great things, but I'm just...
Brian, I got to scoot, and I'm sorry. But I just have to go. We agree with you.
Absolutely.
100%. And I'm ready to, and I will, after the show today, turn the page away from the debate. We've dissected the ins and outs of the woulda, coulda, shouldas. Trump has said today that he's not going to debate her again because there's no point in it because he's debating a 3-on-1 scenario. Real quick, in the 30 seconds we have left, tell us how we can get Kyle Rittenhouse tickets.
Kyle Rittenhouse tickets go to crmc.club, which is short for Conservative Republicans of Murray County, crmc.club, and buy your tickets there. If you can't buy a ticket, email us and say you'd like to come, and we'll try to find a sponsor for a seat for you. We want to have a big showing for him and have Kyle here. I care about this kid. I have since the beginning, and I'm really glad he's coming to Middle Tennessee.
And he had some concerns about Trump in the Second Amendment, but he's all in on Trump now.
Within 2.5 hours, he had reversed that. There was something that scared him as the 2A guys because that's what he's doing now.
I bet he'll talk about it.
He is going to talk about it, yeah. But this is September 23rd. It's a couple of weeks out on Monday night, about 6 o'clock. Come for dinner, poppy seed chicken and green beans. It's going to be a beautiful meal.
Thank you,
We
Debbie.
have Death by Chocolate. I can't wait. And listen, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. So Kyle Rittenhouse.
You're not serving cat, are you?
No, I'm not. Not yet. Not yet. But
I'm not coming then.
If Kamala Harris gets elected, that's probably the next mid-dinner. We'll see. We'll see about that. Come back and see us.
Hey, happy birthday.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you for
You're
having
very
me.
sweet. There's Debbie Matthews, 52 after the hour on Super Talk. Super Talk 99.7 WTN winding down the Matt Murphy portion of the day and handing off to the drive with Brian Wilson to preview what's coming up on the drive. The one and only Brian Wilson is here. Hey, Brian.
Hey, how's it going?
Man, great.
I don't know if you heard it or not, but Trump just put a statement out on Truth Social that said that he will not be doing the second debate.
I think that's a mistake. I mean, I just do.
I think it'd be helpful to have another one, but apparently it's decided he's just not going to go there. He feels he won that debate, and there's no need to have a second debate.
That's my gut reaction, and I saw it cross my my social media feeds about 10 minutes ago, and that's just my first gut reaction. What about you?
I think he should. I think more debates are always better.
I do too.
I think it was. If you listen to my show yesterday, you know that I don't feel like it was a particularly strong showing for Trump. In that I don't think he got the message he needed to get out to the people that really matter in this coming election, and that's about 100,000 people who live as independents in the about 7 battleground states. I don't think he was crafting his message well for them, and it would be good if he could get another shot. You might also have a situation where Kamala Harris would be held a bit more accountable than she was by the ABC anchor. So I would like to see another one. We'll talk about a little bit about the debate follow, because I still think there's a few little things that we need to sort of clean up. That's all coming up right after the news at 3 o'clock.
And the news is happening right now with Ken Weaver in the newsroom. He's gathering headlines and will present them presently. And then it's the drive, 4 full hours of Brian Wilson. I'll be listening. Hope you are as well. Have a wonderful afternoon, friends. Hug your loved ones. We'll talk to you on a First Amendment Freestyle Friday. That comes up at high noon tomorrow on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So long, everybody.